Hello, my name's Fox, my second name is Fox. And I recorded this review last time, but I just did it. I did a review of this, and it was just me talking to the camera. I didn't even do the reaction to the trailer. And then I accidentally deleted my voice audio for it and just sounded on my camera, which someone has been asking me to do this review for a minute. Sorry for the little wait, Styro. So I was like, I'll just make another one and I'll actually react to the trailer first and then talk about it. Maybe I'll bring up some stuff that I forgot. So, anyways. Everyone ready? Set? Let's start. 3, 2.
Hard times create worthy gods who foster peace and prosperity. But that prosperity fosters weak gods who then...
Mind you, that's not Hera saying that. That's Gaia saying that.
...and create hard times. Your judgment is here!
I have to play Phoenix Rising. I played like a little bit of it on my own time. I want to play... Maybe after I finish Tears of the Kingdom, I'll probably switch to that one because that's a ancient god version of... Or ancient Zeus, or I think it is gods. A Greek mythology version of Legend of Zelda, but also was inspired because in Assassin's Creed they wanted to go more crazy with some of the mythology stuff, so...
It was only a matter of time before you came.
I know why you're doing this. Who you're trying to help.
You know nothing. I've set you free so we can take back what they've taken from us.
Fun fact, apparently Titans weren't originally supposed to be giants. Like, apparently that whole thing actually comes from people getting the Book of Giants mixed up with the Book of Titanography or something like that. And, like, the Giants were like, I don't think so, like... Yeah, apparently that's a thing. I'm still gonna ever draw Titans or have them as giants, but, you know, like... Because I like the idea of Titan equaling these giant massive things that are stronger than giants. And also, that's also why in the first season, they were fighting giants and not Titans.
Tremble.
Which also, this also kind of fits because I think Giants came first, and then I think Titans, and then I think Olympians? I think that's right. I know Titans came before Olympians.
If we don't work together, Cronus will reign over us all.
They really try to make us like Hera in this. I still hate the hell out of her.
Why would you do this?
Mind you, this is all that's all the opening. That's not even like the entire fight or the final fight.
Order must be restored.
Goodbye!
Olympians, you cannot win.
Hell yeah. The fucking fusion spirit is badass.
To be great again.
The Blood of Zeus final season. Alright. So, okay, so to first kind of get some things out of the way. One, I do notice I would say it's a slight problem with this series, where it always sets up something that happens at the end of the last season. And mind you, there's only 3 seasons, so it only happened twice. But it has something set up in the last season, and then it kind of gets undone a little. I think season 1 to 2, I think, at least kind of kept it a little bit more in line with, like, okay, Seraphim is, you know, going to work for Hades, stuff like that. And I guess it did take a minute. I think, if I remember correctly, it did take a minute before Seraphim eventually agreed. But this one, I really thought Typhon was going to be, like, the main big bad of this story, and he's not, which I kind of think that kind of sucks. I feel like you could have, because, okay, so if you know mythology, I kind of brought up a little bit, again, I'm still, if you know which came first, Giants or Titans, but, like, there is, like, an order of, I guess, death and renewal. It's like an idea of, like, a different age of gods every so often. Like, there were the Titans first, then prophecy happened about, one of Kronos' kids would kill Zeus or whatever. Or no, one of Kronos' kid would kill him or like knock him off his throne and then would take up the mantle. That's why he ate all of his other kids. Which one of them is Hera, so Greek mythology. I don't know. I don't know why they thought that was the right idea, but anyways. So Jesus Christ. Alright, so there was that whole prophecy, and eventually Zeus wasn't eaten. He was tricked out with a rock. He was raised, and like they kind of covered that last season, right? Alright, but later on, there's another prophecy that like another new god would come up and defeat Zeus and take over, which was Typhon, who is supposed to be a big giant monster. I can't remember if he's one of Zeus's kids. Actually, that's something I actually want to look up real quick. Is Typhon related to Zeus? Yes, Typhon is related to Zeus. Okay, how? Typhon is part of the Greek succession myth, which explains how Zeus came to rule the gods. Typhon's story is connected with a python. Typhon was the son of Gaia of Earth and Tartarus. Okay, so he's technically his brother, if I'm right, or something like that. But yeah, so like, Typhon eventually was supposed to be the one who did it. So like, I feel like you could have kept him as the centered main big bad, because also I love the hell out of this Titan. I don't even think he's considered a Titan. I can't remember what Typhon is considered as. I think he's just his own new race of god, pretty much. Like, he's his own new generation that was created. I guess he probably is considered just a monster. But, hold on, actually, let me look at it real quick. Again. Is Typhon a Titan? No, Typhon is not Titan. Is Typhon an Olympian? What is Typhon? He's a monstrous giant, last son. I guess he's just considered a giant. But Typhon is, again, this big-ass threat. He is supposed to be the next ruler of everything, of Earth, of the heavens. He is supposed to be that. And again, nothing wrong with bringing back Kronos, I guess, but like, I do feel like Typhon should have been the main big bad of this. He is still a massive threat, don't get me wrong. And he does very much have like a Godzilla-esque approach to this, although it is funny when Kronos like has him in like a Pokeball pretty much, and like saying, I need you to kill them, and summons him out of the ether, and like he just crawls out of a giant, cartoon hole. But like, I love the hell out of this. This thing is cool. I love its ability where like you can cut him up and hurt him, and then he'll draw up magma from the planet, absorb it through him, and then heal himself, or he then throws out fire from his mouth and stuff like that. Typhon is a badass. I love this kaiju motherfucker. Like, look at this. He looks like goddamn CHERNBOG made a baby with Stitch, because he has the freaking 4 arms. Look at that shit. And he kills gods. Like, he kills gods. Like, there's a point where, Aphrodite's about to die, and Ares goes in to try to save her, but then Ares gets taken down, he's like, oh shit! And then freaking Hephaestus actually comes in and saves them. It's like, oh my god! It's like, hell yeah! And then they both die. It's like, god damn it! And then they both also get thrown into the pit. What is the pit? It's also not what it's called, but I'm gonna call it the pit. Just look at this, man. Every time he's on screen, he's called Aura and shit. Let's see. Where's the pit? I saw it. They tossed him in. Or they tossed someone in there. The old man in there. Who the hell is that pit? an epic tale comes to an end. Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, because a big part is this pit where you toss someone in and their soul is killed. Which I will say, I'm kind of iffy on that. Even then, I love Shaman King. Don't get me wrong, that is one of my favorite animes, or one of my favorite mangas ever. And the story of that was shown in animes, whatever. But I will say, I didn't necessarily like, they're like, oh yes, the Spirit of Fire can destroy souls. And it's like, this is one of the times where like I gotta go with the headcanon, I guess. Or maybe it is, I think it is actually more canon than it is, because maybe like that is more how just talking about it, because like they do say like souls can't really be destroyed, and like they kind of just absorb back into the Great Spirit. So like that's how I always kind of take spiritual energy and stuff like that. So like I'm always like, you just can kill a ghost. I'm like, even science says you can't destroy energy. Like it just takes on a new form. But like, you know, that's the big thing with this was like, oh, you can throw the soul of a god in this hole and they just explode and it kills them, and it's like, I'm just gonna assume like the energy just goes back into the ether or some bullshit. But yeah, this hole is a big thing. Because eventually, Typhon, after coming out and wrecking shit, he flies to the underworld, goes to the underworld, and he breaks Kronos out. And then Kronos is the main bad guy for most of it, and he's doing things like, he takes Hades, he makes Hades, like, use the light that he used, like, to show Persephone sunlight when she's in the underworld, to make him grow bigger, helps him break out all the other titans that are stuck in Tartarus or Hades or whatever. The place, not the person. And then he also like forces Hades to do this, like push like the lever to like hit the light on to Kronos to make him bigger. And because apparently they're solar powered. Who knew? But Kronos starts like going like, I'm gonna throw Ares and Hephaestus into this hole if you don't tell me where Zeus is, because his whole big plan is looking for Zeus. Why? I can't really remember. Like, I legit don't remember why he wanted Zeus. I think just because Zeus was the one who could defeat him beforehand, so maybe it's just like the idea of do that and like it'll work. So they try to do that. Then while this is all going on, like Persephone also gets killed at one point, trying to protect the underworld and all that stuff from Typhon. She eventually dies. Her soul gets taken. And eventually that is kind of like the soul that she was going to toss. Kronos was going to toss the soul into Persephone into the hole, if I remember correctly, to kill her, because Hades was not going to give it up, and you're probably going to destroy him. And I probably ain't gonna lie, I probably would have folded if my loved one was going to be tossed in the never hole and never come back. Like, it's not even like, oh, they'll be in a better place. It's like, nope, they're not. Energy scattered among the cosmos. It's like, oh shit. What was that? But, yeah, like, it's like, okay. It's like, okay. That's why I'm like, I probably would have folded. I ain't gonna lie, I probably would fold there. But eventually, like what stopped them is like an old guy who's like, oh yes, like I know what Zeus is. But but pretty much that's part of another thing that's going on, because while this is all going on, the gods are in like high alert mode. They're all the gods that escape. They go back to Mount Olympus. They're like, what the hell are we gonna do? Hera comes in sad, going, I've learned from my ways and I'm going to be better. And it's like, shut up, Hera. This is like at the end of the Greek mythology, I guess. You've fucked over so many Greek heroes. That's not even including mind you, you did all that shit to all these other Greek heroes, or at least mainly Hercules. And then you did it again to Heron again. Like, what the hell, asshole? No, get out of here. Like, here's the funny thing. I remember hating her so much that I didn't even remember that she lost her arm. Because I'm just like, oh, she lost her arm. Like, I watched it and oh yeah, she lost her arm. Good. I'm like, I hate that woman so much. But, and mind you, I understand her angry at Zeus for cheating. I 100% get that. On that same note, you probably should have dropped his ass the first time. Like, as soon as he cheated the first time, be like, yeah, we're done. Divorce. Like, and I don't know, maybe it's like, you can't divorce. They're gods. They can make up the rules however the hell they want. And mind you, she is like the god of marriage, too. I don't know. Divorce is part of marriage. Get that shit done, lady. Come on now. You can invent divorce. Or you can just leave. I don't know. But I feel like you can just do that after the third time he turned into an animal to bang someone. In any case. But yeah, and mind you, I do also like that. Again, it's supposed to be like a whole thing. One, Hephaestus made her a robot arm, which I'm like, really? Hephaestus made her that? The guy who was born, and she said, ugh! It spiked his ass off of Mount Olympus. Like, that Hephaestus is the one who, like, was maimed and had, like, you know, like, physical deformities because of being spiked from heaven. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think Hephaestus would do that, but fine, whatever. And again, like, even later on when they're trying to figure out a way to get Hades and eventually Zeus out of the underworld, because eventually they do get to Zeus, and they free him, and pretty much Hera tricks Kronos to go to where Zeus was, and it turns out, like, she was that old man, the actual old man who was, like, one of the judges, was the one locked up in there, and Kronos like, what the fuck? And, like, he's able to, I think he gets away with Persephone. She gets away with Persephone's soul, I think. I can't remember exactly what happened. But I do know, like, Hades, Kronos then also did throw Hades to do what Atlas's job was, which is really funny, because Atlas is, like, holding up the overworld? Because, you know, Atlas is supposed to be holding up the sky, which I guess is a question of, like, how does that look? But, like, in this one, it's like like, it's in the underworld, and it's like a big pillar that he's just holding up, that they have a mechanism to do this. There's a mechanism that they turn, and, like, it brings up 4 pillars that will hold up the sky, but they decided instead, let's have Atlas hold up the sky, which I guess self-preservation is the only reason the sky is still up. I'm just thinking, like, you know, if I'm trapped here for eternity, and, like, I can't die from this, I do also wonder, like, maybe, like, you know, maybe I'll just take the entire world with me. Just let go and, like, I feel like that's a constant problem you could probably worry about. But again, I guess maybe, I don't know. In any case, there's a mechanism, and, like, it brings up these 4 pillars, they get Atlas out from there, which also I feel like Atlas should be one of the strongest motherfuckers ever, because of how, you know, holding up the sky, strong he must be to hold up the sky. But, and they make Hades, like, hold, like, these spinny, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the thing, like, that they use to summon the Kraken in Pirates of the Caribbean. And, like, makes him hold that with, like, all his other 4 shadow guys, and the 4 shadow guys are, we're with you, my liege, as they're holding it together. And, you know, they gotta hold up the sky while Kronos tries to track down Zeus, and he goes to different things, like trying to find Hecate, the god of witches, and, like, yeah, and the god of witches have, like, if I remember correctly, flamethrowers to get him away. Like, get the fuck away from us! And, like, they pretty much just, these guys are just causing chaos and destruction, which, I ain't gonna lie, like, I understand, like, in mythology and stuff like that, they were just, like, giants, I guess. But, like Titan, like, I guess instead of, like, gods were considered, like, just giants, or, like, they were looking more like humanoid. But I do kind of like in, the Titans in the Hercules, the animated movie, which, I get it, it's not necessarily correct. But I will say I do like those where, like, they look like walking natural disasters. Hell, even the Titan, like, you know, King or his dad, where, like, they're at least, like, these creatures that look and become, like, humongous, massive things that are, like, tied to the elements and stuff. Like, I like those a little bit more than just, they're giant humans. But I will say, though, too, like, the thing is about this art direction is I think they did really want to try to play it very closely to where, like, these looked like the myths a bit. Because, like, if you look at a character like Heron, he looks like a Greek statue. Like he looks like a Greek statue of a god. Which also, you might be wondering, you haven't really been talking about Heron and all that stuff. Also, but we'll get to him in a minute. Him and his D&D party. But, Hera, eventually, but yeah, also I was saying, Hera also does kind of get, not, well, I'd say her shit rocked, but like, she gets like some of what she's done thrown back in her face, because eventually she goes to the Cyclope, because they're trying to figure out a way to get Hades and Zeus out of the underworld, and the only way to do that is with his, like, I guess, true bident, because they never try to get, Seraphim's bident, so I guess they need the true bident, I guess, for it. They go to, the Cyclope, which also there's a Hecatonchire protecting it, but the Cyclope, because I know the Cyclope are the ones who actually made Zeus's lightning bolt, but they go to, it's like, can you make us a new bident? And he says, like, he's like, well, no, I can't do that. Let's, like, you go talk to Hephaestus. And, which also, if I'm remembering, like, I think they're trying to set up that, like, Hephaestus was a better creator than the Cyclopi. But also, I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Because if I remember correctly, Zeus's main thunderbolt, like, the strongest one he's ever had, if I remember correctly, that was made by the Cyclope. By the Cyclops. And, like, that was, like, super powerful, never needed to be reloaded, and you just shoot lightning everywhere. You are, a god. But then he eventually lost that lightning bolt somehow. I can't remember how. And then that's when he had Hephaestus start making him multiple lightning bolts. And, like, because he lost the main one, like Zeus's Master Bolt. Master Bolt is a symbol of power. Let me see here. Patterned after is the first. It is the first and most powerful weapon that the Cyclope made for the Olympian gods. Yeah. So, like, and that's the person. But yeah, you're telling me the first Titan Maki. Oh no, this is the mix of all of them. But yeah, you're telling me, like, the Cyclope who made one of the strongest weapons ever couldn't make another bident. But no, it's Hephaestus. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. But anyways, so Hephaestus. So yeah, but like, anyways, so they say Hephaestus to do it, and like, Hera goes, "Oh, Hephaestus is gone. He's dead." And she starts crying, and the Cyclope's like, "What are you crying for? You're the one who was a dick to him his entire immortal life. Like, you're the one that gave birth and said, nope, spank." Like, not spank, spike. Like, oh, God. Anyways, so I'm okay with all the shit that they give to Hera. I don't believe she learned anything good. Also, she also went to the underworld, apparently, and talked to Heron's wife or mom to figure out why why Zeus loved her instead of Hera, and pretty much it kind of boiled down to, shut up. It boiled down to the Heron's mom pretty much saying, "You loved him for what he could give you. I just loved him for who he was, like who he is. Not like, like a class thing, but in a sense of just the person, his personality, who he was, and all that stuff." And Hera was like, "Oh, I'm a dick." And everyone's like, "Yeah!" In any case. And again, you might be wondering, well, where does Heron and Seraphim and all this go from? Well, Grandma Gaia said, like, well, I'm doing this to wipe the slate clean. Typhon and Kronos and all that will save everything. Again, it's weird because, again, it's like, the whole big thing was that they're trying to get the Olympian Stone or whatever, and like, because Typhon was going to destroy everything. But then it turns out Typhon's not the big bad, Kronos is. It's like, shouldn't the thing have been a key to unlock Kronos then instead? Why? Anyways. But pretty much, Heron. Heron here is going on a D&D quest with his brother. Because while the gods are dealing with the apocalypse, these guys are like, well, my brother's girlfriend's ghost is stuck in, limbo. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the underworld so what we're going to do is we're going to go find a magic necklace that's protected by a bunch of winged people, protected by a bunch of winged people by a wind goddess, or wind gods. But before that, we have to go talk to the severed head of, it's not Narcissus. Can't remember his name. It's the one guy who, he sang very beautifully. He's a very beautiful poet, singer, and all that stuff. And I can't remember, I think either he was a loved one or something happened, and then they pretty much oh, okay, and they cut off his head, but he was still alive, so the sprites and the nymphs went oh, we'll just keep your head so you can sing for us whenever we want it. And it's like, holy shit, that's horrifying. But before that, they had to run into, these witches of that head, who are witches actually of, what was it? Oh man, I know it, not Hermes. Dionysus, who they burn things and that gives them magical powers in the smoke. And also, the pirate guy is there. And apparently, the reason why he left in the last season was because this witch would have stolen something that he wanted to steal. And eventually, they fight the witches and stuff like that. They eventually are able to put out the flames, Seraphim and everyone's able to overpower them. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, and the witch is okay, well, yeah, you can go talk to this thing. And they're what do you give us? Oh, you have this, whatever. Okay, fine. And then also we find out, the big dude, the big African dude, his wife died, and, they gave her his necklace of it, and, he's, been living to try to protect what he can, and eventually, later on, when they eventually go to the wind god's place, which also, one of the bird people that they capture, the winged people, he has to ring a bell, a certain amount of time to, tell us how many times we have to ring it so we don't set off an alarm. And 2. He's is it really? He's 3. And then he hits it 3 times, and it's sound the alarms! Bruce is kidnapped! And son of a... they rolled a nat 1 on their frickin' persuasion. And then then they have to break in there, and they break into the place, and then they find out all the wind gods are dead because there's another goddess or demon or whatever that possesses you from memories. Also, mind you, they had to go talk to the severed head of the scene guy who locks himself in, who keeps himself inside this cave where there's no one around, so he can cry onto his guitar or lute. So that way, that crying onto that lute creates music, and he doesn't want to hear about anything from the outside world because that'll taint his music. And it's okay. Then again, you are just a severed head stuck to a wall now, but I'm just maybe learn a little bit more about the world. Maybe that'll help actually with your music. Anyways, so they go to the Wind Kingdom. They fight this other goddess, wind goddess, but she appears through mirrors and possesses people who look into the mirrors. So then they're fighting each other for this. There's other stuff too. I forgot, but they're fighting other stuff too. Also, I forgot to mention Heron. Before all this, Heron and Seraphim say that they're going to go together to do all this. But also, Heron is currently poisoned by Hades when he got stabbed. So they actually take him to where Seraphim takes him to where his girlfriend healed him with the flower that was made from a Gorgon's blood. Which also they bring up the Gorgon story of how it would hunt down the people who tried to hunt it. And, like, pretty much if it would have left her alone, everyone else would have been left alone. And also, her name being the Gorgon, and then his sister. God, I'm getting things mixed up in my head. His girlfriend being Gorgo, or Gorga, or something like that. And it's like, so is she the Gorgon? Because, like, even, like, eventually, like, they do... No, like, anyways, like, wait, before I get to that, he gives them, like, he tells them about it. It's like, if you remember, if you drink blood from the left side of the Gorgon, it's a massive poison that'll kill you. Drinking from the right side, it's one of the best healing potions ever. And Heron drinks it, it's like, oh shit, I'm dying! And it's like, and Seraphim's like, good thing I gave you the right one. And he's like, ah! And then he heals. But, and also Seraphim is like constantly trying to steal the sword, like beforehand, until Guy said, stop it! And he's like, but I have to help my brother. Like, Heron is like, I have to help my brother. It's like, fine, but you have to keep your sword. He's like, okay, fine. But anyways, then eventually at one point they get ambushed, if I'm remembering correctly, or they're trying to help someone, by some bad guys. Typhon and well as the followers of Kronos kind of pop up. It's the part, I think, where you see Typhon like swoop in, if I remember correctly. Here. Right there. But, and like, these guys are trying to escape. Eventually, Heron's friends, the Amazon and, big guy, put cloak over him, grab him, take him away. He's like, we saved you! And we're gonna let Seraphim die! And Heron's like, no! He takes the magic invisible cloak, run back, grabs his brother, comes back. And eventually that's what sets on this whole thing of journey, of witches, and all this other shit. They pick up the thief when they find the witches of Dionysus. And then, they keep on going. Also, like, Kronos fought Hecate and all that because they needed, like, I think a magic flame that would lead them to Zeus. Anyways, but that's not part of Heron's story, because Heron's story is, like, a complete different side story. And also, the reason why they're going to do this, to go to the magic wind place, which eventually they find the wind, evil mirror goddess, and the big guy goes and grabs her. He's like, I'm going to die for a noble cause, and drags her ass into a fire, and it's like, oh shit! And they both burn. And it's like, oh shit, okay, damn. And so he dies, she dies, everybody dies. No. It was all done to get a very pretty necklace, because they need the pretty necklace to give to Charon so that he could then take Seraphim's girlfriend to the field of reeds. I mean Elysium. But eventually they go to Heron, they go to this guy, which also, I never really thought about this, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's like, yeah, I wonder how much money this dude has, because they went to Charon's, like, home, and it's filled with coins, of gold coins and shit. It's like, right, yeah, because he has to put the coins, I guess, somewhere. So, like, I guess, like, if he just, like, collects money, it's like, yeah, I guess he would have just, like, a hovel just filled with coins. If anything, he probably should have more coins than that. Ooh, a dragon that guides souls to the afterlife, but then also stores all the coins of the dead on the eyes. Would be a really cool idea. I'm gonna use that. Anyways, so, and eventually they find Charon, and Charon's like, I can't take her to Elysium. And he's like, what? What do you mean? He's like, I can't do that. The best I can do is I can take her from limbo-ish place where no souls go. I can take her to the judges and she can be judged. And he's like, fine. And they're like, fine, I guess. And eventually, like, that's also where you see Seraphim here looking human, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Because he goes... Yeah, there's Charon in the background.
Who you trying?
He goes to her as, like, human form. They take her to the judge or whatever, and he's like, I have to leave now. And she's like, what do you mean you have to leave? Why don't I come with you? And he's like, no, you can't do that. I'm not the same man I was. And she's like, what? And then she, forms a demon hat form, and she's like, oh. And then he's like, drink the water of Lethe. It'll erase your memories, which also Hades gave the water of Lethe to his kids and like lock those kids in a cave next to the death hole to hide, because I guess that's like the last place a god would go to look. But also, I can't remember what the fuck happened to his kids. Hold on. Let me look it up. Hold on. Hades' blood of Zeus. Hades' blood of Zeus. He looks like frickin' a little bit like if Chris Hemsworth dyed his hair brown. But eventually, the being in the underworld apparently turns you bald. Let me see here. Rhea, mother, sister, mother-in-law, sister, mother-in-law. Yeah. Holy Zeus, brother, father-in-law. Oh God. Wait a minute. What the fuck do you mean? Oh, I thought that was the skeleton name. Yeah, if you really look at the family tree, that shit curls around many fucking times. Let me see. Demeter. Where's Persephone in this? Perseus, nephew, a kid. Also, they do bring up like Hercules and stuff like that. Persephone, yeah, his niece wife. Okay, where's his kids? Okay. Zagreus, which he has a whole Hades game, I remember correctly. Zagreus is the minor. I want to look at the history. What happened to his ass? Season 2, Zagreus, Season 3. What? Why is it no Season 3? But Hades is the father. Wait a minute, what the fuck? Where's parental cousin? Sister, daughter. Did nobody think to do a Season 3? What? Someone please tell me what happened to the kids. Did they ever get out of the rock? I can't remember. Maybe they were like in the background at some point. In any case, Hades made them drink the magic water and make them forget. I believe? Unless they died. In any case. But yeah, Seraphim gives her the water, says, drink this. You know, you'll forget who you are and all this stuff, and you'll be able to go to, Elysium. And you'll be able to forget me, and she's like, I'm not going to forget you, leaves the water, goes in. He doesn't know this. Goes in. Apparently, the people who judge souls are elected? Or can we just place there? Because the one old man was one of the judges, I remember, and he's dead now. So, Kronos just put someone else as the third king, or the middle leader king. This one lady, and that lady's the one that said, that's good. Yeah. No, you're not getting to Elysium. It's like, really? Like, how do you have that? Anyways, so that happens, and then eventually the Furies, Kronos' Furies comes like, don't worry, we'll take you. Also, I forgot to mention when Heron and Seraphim got ambushed, it was like right after it was like by the was it other Furies too, like other Harpies or whatever, that like Heron said, leave us alone in like last season, and she's like, we're not going to, we're gonna kill you, and like I think they died, I can't remember. In any case, Heron. So eventually she gets the Furies grab her soul and say, nope, you're coming with us. And they take her to the final battle because Kronos goes with all the other Titans to Mount Olympus and goes and tells everyone on Mount Olympus, like, hey, you guys, I'm going to give you guys, a chance. And, like, this is the, this is a chance, one-time deal. It's like, here. One-time deal, which also, one way to kind of ruin giant characters is to put them around other giant characters. Because unless you're going to really, like, play around with the weight of these characters, it's going to feel weird, I think. Like, it's just going to feel like these guys are just big, like, these guys are just regular-sized people. Especially if they are, like, very human-sized proportioned. Because it's like, really? Okay. He tells them, I'm going to give you a chance. Here's a shit ton of bottles of Lethe water. If you guys drink it and forget everything that made you gods, everything that made you who you are now, you all can live and we will re-raise you as Titans, as under my rule and all this stuff, and you will all be able to live happier lives and all this stuff under my rule. And some of the gods are like, shit, should we? And eventually they're like, no, we can't do that. And Seraphim and Heron are up there, and Kronos like, why are you working with them, Seraphim? They're the ones that did all this shit to you. And he's like, shit, you're kind of right. But, and eventually tries to use his girlfriend as a bargaining chip. Eventually that doesn't work, and they said, like, no, let's do this instead. We'll have a champions battle. Your strongest two champions against our strongest two champions. And he's like, why the fuck would I do that? Because he's like, what are you, chicken? And it's like, I know what calls me a chicken. Fine, I'll fight you, Heron. And when I kill you and all this stuff, I'll kill all the gods. And I will rule forever. And so it's then a battle between Kronos and Typhon against Seraphim and what's his name? Sorry, give me a second. Against Seraphim and Heron. Which also, that's when, I believe, is it Demeter? No, it's not Demeter. Persephone's mom. She brought us up, and she comes to Heron and goes, Heron, I'm the one that cut your lifeline short. Here, take this string, in which Heron then has visions of possible futures. He goes, you can go have it weaved back into the loom of life, and you can live forever with your Amazon wife. And he's like, no, I don't need this. And eventually, like, Amazon girl comes up. I couldn't come with you because I'm an Amazon, all this stuff. They kiss. They have a little bit of a romantic moment. She becomes his shield maiden for that fight. Then we have the big-ass fight against these guys, which they're kind of really, seems like they're fighting each other. They're fighting Typhon and Kronos. Eventually, Heron is really fighting just up against Typhon towards the end, and he's channeling all of his power. He eventually gives Seraphim the sword, which again he creates into a giant-ass like fusion spear. Heron activates like most of his lightning power, especially when like, cause all of this is a red herring because the heroes lied. Cause like, yeah, no, we're not playing fair. But Heron goes and like goes up super far. Like they have to stop Typhon because Typhon has that massive healing factor and that also just makes him stronger. He goes up, he does a big ass lightning bolt, which then also kills Heron. You kind of see it here where he explodes. He blows up Typhon's head, killing both of them. Seraphim fights back Kronos. It doesn't really seem to work out all that well. He eventually gets his ass kicked a bit. But eventually it's, worked, as then they're able to God, I'm trying to remember now. That it worked because they're actually, throughout all this, was a plan to steal the Bident away from the Furies who were holding it nearby, switch it with a fake one that they got the Cyclops to have, so that they use that to unlock the underworld, which when Heron's death happened, it was right when Zeus and Hades and everyone escaped, which then Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon, which is like, Poseidon, why are you here? Like, I can understand in Percy Jackson or any other, or the Odyssey or any other story where you were important, but you're not important. Like, I know you're part of the big three, but also, you are not important in this story, and you have not been important in this story. Like, why are you here? Like, if you're like, oh yes, I'm here too. It's like, yeah, Aquaman, shut up. Like, mind you, I get Aquaman is a badass in some stories, but there was no reason for this man to be here. And guys, they lock Kronos up. I don't think they kill him. I'm trying to remember. I'm kind of forgetting. Sorry, it's been a minute, and I'm redoing it. But yeah, that happens, and then pretty much Heron is like they're defeated. They're like, yeah, they defeat the Kronos and all that, seal Kronos away and all this stuff. Guy is like, good job, everyone. It's like, okay, lady, you're the one who kind of started this, but okay. And among the stars, Heron is an image of Heron is placed along with Ares and Hephaestus and others. Seraphim, I guess, doesn't get any praise. And I thought, like, oh, did the Seraphim at least get to live? No. Which also, he gets kind of the short end of the stick, too. Because eventually, like, the last scene is, like, you see Heron's mom just standing looking up at the sky, the roof of the underworld in the field of, in Elysium. And eventually she turns and she sees Heron, and she's like, oh, my boy, hugs him, and turns around and sees Seraphim. And honestly, I was kind of hoping Seraphim was eventually, like, at the end, like, maybe, like, with the sword and everything, like, he was gonna, like, the power of God was gonna flow through him and, like, burn away the giant part and, like, make him, like, an angel. And maybe, like, it was gonna end with, like, all the gods dying and pretty much pulling a Ragnarok where it's, like, the end is a new beginning, and, like, there's, one man, one woman, and there's a tree. Mind you, it doesn't have to tie into Christianity, but I'm just saying, like, you named a character Seraphim. Like, I was expecting him to be Lucifer. Like, it kinda, sorta. Like, I don't know. In any case, so, but yeah, so the mom turns around and sees Seraphim there, and I'm like, really? Like, I know he was dead, but apparently you can just die and then, like, go to a thing and, like, it makes you another body, like, before you get judged. And Zeus, I'm pretty sure, is still alive by the end, too, even though he died and came back. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, why do some characters get to die and not others? In any case, and also the really fucked up thing is, Seraphim still is missing an eye. Like, his eye is still cut and messed up. It's like, why? Like, he's dead! Why does he still have his eye missing? Couldn't he have gotten his eye back at least? Is his eye a separate being? Is his eye rolling around somewhere in limbo? Or is that in the field of reason? He has to go find it. He's like, oh, hello there, eye, and then pop it back in? What is happening? But, yeah, that's... I did like this. The action was fun. It is just really funny that, like, Heron and his little party went, it was like on a completely different D&D storyline that really didn't tie much except till the very end with the main overarching story of the world is ending, kaiju, like, titans and kaijus are taking over and all this shit. It's kind of, like, hilarious. But yeah, it was still fun. Like, the graphics were done great. The character designs were really awesome. My biggest gripe would be just that I feel like Typhon should have been the main big bad than just a big monster to fight. And maybe Kronos would be like, if you had to bring Kronos into it, make him the second in command to Typhon. Like, Kronos is like, I'm not as strong as I was then, or like, you are quite strong and like wants to help with the destroying. Maybe he manipulates Typhon, but like Typhon was just very much a silent, like, just monster kind of thing. Okay. But also, I also do feel like some storylines, I do feel like each of these story arcs, I feel like there wasn't like an overarching single story that was first thought out. I feel like the first season was Star Wars, but Greek. And then the second one was like, alright, now we have to make our own shit. And then it ended, and then the third one was like, alright, we got greenlit, so now let's make up another thing. And they might have just come up with different writers and stuff in between. Because again, it really felt like Typhon was supposed to be the big bad instead of just a powerful weapon in the big bad's arsenal. And I guess, show was great. I thought it was fun. Is it one of my top favorites? Maybe not, but it was a pretty, like, Greek mythology is pretty great. And I think there's also, like, a lot of thought put into a lot of these things. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, some of these titans that pop up who we never get names for are actually, you know, part of the myths. Like, I don't think that's not Apollo. But there's, like, maybe, I can't remember the names. But, like, I'm sure, like, these are actually, like, titans in the mythologies and all that stuff. But yeah, this is great. I liked it. Typhon is probably one of my favorites in this. Like, I love the design. Probably the only other design I really thought was like, I love the giant. I love the Heron sword, badass as hell. I like the Sphinx in the last one, and Typhon also is really great. Those are probably some of the better like standout designs. Seraphim is also really cool, but I also really don't kind of like his eye, which I guess is also probably the point. So it's like a scarring kind of thing. But anyways, when he's a demon, when he's human form, his eyes so bad. Okay. And also there's stuff I'm sure like the Gorgon. I feel like because his Seraphim's girlfriend does say like, you don't know my past before I was a priestess and all this stuff. That apparently was bad enough to where she couldn't get into Elysium, and it's like, you're the Gorgon, right? Like it has to be that she was the Gorgon or something, like became human. I don't know. I guess. Thanks for watching. Check out my videos. Hopefully enjoy this. And check out Wolf Time, my own little anime series that I did. And we'll probably have something Typhon-esque in there. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Yeah, I think I love Titans being just these giant, powerful, godlike creatures. But also, funny enough, in Owl House, the Titan is like literally tied to the literally tied to the different elements with like the glyphs and stuff. So like, it's kind of correct a little bit.